Are you sure you're ready?
I am totally ready. I always look forward to this.
Oh, yeah.
It's my favorite recording session time.
So if anybody wonders what the hell is in my cheek, I got sick. It's a cough drop. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
If I sound funny, it's because
She's
I was
funny.
sick and I sound funny. I'll admit that.
All the
It's fine.
time.
I make funny voices all the time anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, we typically record on a Sunday, and today is Thursday, and it's Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Woo.
Neither one of us is doing anything this morning except recording, and it feels good.
Yeah, I woke up like extra. It was like, like Christmas morning.
Mm-hmm.
I still can't sleep in on Christmas morning. It's just a thing.
I don't sleep in any day.
Frenetic energy where you're just like so excited.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't sleep this morning.
I
woke up at 5. I was like, what the hell is happening here?
Yeah. I was up at 3 and then 4:30 and then 5:30.
Oh geez.
And 5:30 was when I was planning to get up because I was gonna keep editing my story.
You woke up at 3. It's the witching hour.
Yeah, I seem to always wake up at 3.
There's a ghosty with you.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody's haunting you.
Yeah, it's called one of my children.
Probably.
That little one loves to come in the middle of the night.
She's pretty cuddly though, so it's fine.
Yeah, she's sweet.
All right. My craft. I'm gonna start. I'm ready.
Awesome.
I'm still working on hats.
Ooh.
'Tis the season.
I know. I love your hats.
Just
so everyone knows, I have like 10 per hats, and I've given like 20 of them.
It's true. She does. She shops with me.
I love her hats. They're the best.
I'm knitting. It's my own little pattern.
Oh, I like that.
I mean, I don't write these down. I just make it up as I go. So that's just how my brain works.
Yeah, it's kind of how mine does too.
Yeah.
We just kind of do things, and then we're like, oh man.
Everybody's like, do you sell that pattern? It's the same with cooking.
It is. I don't have recipes. I don't really use recipes. We just kind of, I don't know. You and I, our whole lives have just kind of figured things out and done them.
That sums everything up. Yes.
Yeah.
Like everything.
Everything. There's no rhyme or reason. We just do.
Yeah. So my coffee today is from Dead Sled Coffee.
Oh, I love that company.
They're amazing. But it's the Hellbilly.
Yay.
Hellbilly Brew, Rob Zombie, and his lovely wife, Sherry Moon Zombie.
Yep. They're awesome.
They're like a couple goals. And they're all organic, which is really cool. So I was really excited to see an organic coming out of this company because I don't think that most of their stuff I don't think they even have organic coffee normally.
Right.
Very excited. And it's
well, with them, they are very earth friendly and conscious about everything and everyone and animals. And Sherry Moon Zombie is very much all about the animals and care.
Oh my gosh. Them. Do you follow her on Instagram?
I do. I follow both of them.
Same. But her animal posts are so cute.
Yeah, so sweet.
So
they have good hearts. So I can imagine they would collaborate and make an organic.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But that's a single origin from Uganda. So it's really tasty. It's like a medium-ish roast. Definitely not dark. So
yeah.
Flavor and caffeine. Oh yes.
Mm-hmm. Lovely.
Cough drop and coffee do not mix well. Okay. Oh, don't laugh too hard. I'll start coughing. Okay. All right. So today I am covering the Mall Passer, also known as James Mitchell de Bardeleben the second.
Wow.
And he went by Mike, but I'm not going to call him that. Trigger warnings for this episode. Yes, he was a counterfeiter, but he kidnapped, raped, tortured, possible murdered people. So if, I'm not going to go into detail because I never do. I don't like going into detail on that stuff. So, but we'll go into detail.
It's usually me.
The other stuff. Well, I mean, you're not going to go into great detail about like somebody getting tortured.
No.
Exactly. Okay. So James de Bardeleben is a convicted kidnapper.
It's quite a mouthful.
I know. De Bardeleben. You should try spelling it 5 million times. He's a convicted kidnapper, rapist, and counterfeiter, and a suspected serial killer. And that just means that he was never convicted. Right. Because they could never prove that he actually killed anyone. But through his travels, he was linked up to areas where murders were happening. So, and there's some other stuff, but we'll get to it in a minute. He was born in Little Rock, Arkansas on March 20th, 1940, as the second of 3 children born to James de Bardeleben Sr.
Ooh.
And Mary Lou Edwards. See, I'm already screwing up the last name. De Bardeleben.
Say that 5 times fast.
Oh, shiza. The de Bardelebens were a military family, which meant they moved around a lot. So de Bardeleben got the name the Mall Passer by the Secret Service agents who had been trying to capture him for about 3 years during his counterfeiting scheme. He would pass counterfeit bills inside the malls that were in close proximity to the interstates across the US. So, yeah. And it was always...
That is smart because so many tourists come through there and it's hard to track.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and especially during this time, this is happening early 80s.
Yeah.
So we didn't
malls were extremely popular back then.
And we didn't have social media or anything. We didn't have internet.
Right.
We didn't have any real way of easy communication except an old phone call. A wired phone.
Get that landline.
Yeah, that's all we had. That was our lifeline. Yeah. So after he was captured for counterfeiting, authorities soon found out he had also committed several sadistic sex crimes. But again, we'll get to that in a minute. In 1956, at the young age of 16, de Bardeleben physically assaulted his mother. On September 8th of that year, he purchased 2 handguns and ammunition with a friend. And later that month, he was arrested and convicted of his first felony, possessing a concealed firearm. This was the first arrest of many that followed on sodomy, attempted murder, kidnapping, and other charges.
Yikes. He was a winner.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I'll have to post the composite sketch. It's attractive.
You should see your face right now.
He had signature glasses too. I'm telling you. They were pretty cool. In the spring of 1957, de Bardeleben was expelled from Peter Schuyler. I'm saying Schuyler High School, which effectively ended his formal education. In October of that year, he enlisted in the U.S. Air Force and was stationed at the Lackland Air Force Base in Texas. But after only a year, he was court-martialed for disorderly behavior and sentenced to 2 months in the base stockade. Sorry, I'm like kind of laughing about that because like should have kept him there forever.
Yeah.
In 1958, he was ordered to see a psychiatrist for counseling after he was pronounced AWOL several times. And at the age of 18, only 18 years old, he was discharged from the Air Force and moved in with relatives in Fort Worth, Texas. So now we're in 1959. De Bardeleben. Yeah, it's a weird word. Attempted school again, enrolling in R.L. Paschal High School. But after 3 months, he was expelled.
Yeah, it sounds like he had issues with authority, or
yeah, he just had issues, period.
Yeah.
In August of that year, he married his first wife, Linda Weir, but 3 weeks later separated from her. 3 weeks. Also that month, he was arrested for attempted robbery with an accomplice, followed 2 weeks later by his involvement in a string of auto thefts, and was sentenced to 5 years probation. Let's see. In October same year, he fathered a premature stillborn daughter with an unidentified woman. There's just some random stuff in here from his life, but
yeah,
all of that stuff affects people. So de Bardeleben,
for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he was already screwed up. So
yeah.
De Bardeleben later met Charlotte Weber, who was 17 at the time he started courting her. In March 1960, he impregnated Charlotte, and on June 9th the same year married her. On December 12th, 1960, he successfully fathered a daughter, Bethine.
It's quite a name.
Or Bethany with an E at the end. What do you think?
I don't know.
It's spelled really weird.
Yeah.
But people are strange sometimes.
People are strange when you're a stranger. Faces look ugly when you're alone.
Pardonnez-moi. Afterward, Charlotte became pregnant again with another child, but was forced by de Bardeleben to give it up for adoption. Bastard. Yeah. I would have left his ass right then. But like, I'm keeping this baby. But he probably would have murdered her. So in August, August 1961, his brother Ralph committed suicide for undocumented reasons. Completed suicide. I didn't put that word in there, just so you know. That was from one of my places I did my research. Okay. So we're done with his
so we don't know
life.
Yeah, but we don't know how the brother committed suicide.
We have no clue.
He just completed it somehow.
Somehow.
So more family trauma.
Right. But he seemingly doesn't care about any of that.
Because a lot of people that are serial killers or criminals are not empathetic, so they really don't care what happens to people.
Exactly.
They don't have the ability.
Yeah. I've known some people like that.
Yeah. It's sad.
They scare me. So now we're going to go into the actual mall passer case.
Okay.
So in the early 80s, Secret Service agents were investigating a string of counterfeiting cases in which a man was determined to be entering malls with a wad of counterfeit $20 bills. He would make small purchases of like a pair of socks or a book, just like a cheap little book or something else small. And he would go to several stores in the same mall and pay with his counterfeit 20s and then get real cash back.
Real change, yeah.
So, if you're buying a $3 item,
it's $17 hard, cold cash.
Yeah, and you're doing
out of nothing.
Stores, and it's in the 80s, like, she was cheap back then. Thousands of dollars in counterfeit $20 bills were easily being passed in those stores. These were the best counterfeits the Secret Service had seen. They even had the red and blue thread look printed on them. Yeah.
Interesting.
The biggest difference was that the thickness of the bills were like very slightly off. So like only somebody who was like
really into money.
Yeah. And like they have like one lady that like does all of that. Basically, she can tell just by touching it. She's bad mama jamma.
That is amazing.
And most people wouldn't notice that. But like I remember like working in retail. I can tell the difference in sound of coins, which is really funny. I can always tell
interesting
if it's like an old silver coin.
Yeah, because
always sounds different.
It has a different, yeah.
And then
pennies too, because they're made out of different material.
And then the silver certificates, always different.
Yeah,
they were just different. So,
we handled a lot of coin back in the 90s.
Oh yeah, we did.
So much coin.
Yeah. Oh, there we are. I lost my spot for a second.
So I distracted you. I'm sorry.
I scrolled too far. It was my fault. Anyway, one store clerk felt like this one customer had passed her a fake. Something about this $20 bill just felt different. So she paid close attention as he left. And she had a description of the man and his car, but unfortunately she couldn't see his license plate. She contacted the Secret Service and they made a composite sketch from her info. So based on where his bills had been used throughout, now this is a 3+ year.
That's a lot of counterfeit bills.
Literally a manhunt for this guy.
Right.
They know his routes that he takes because he does the same routes all the time, basically. But also, based on where his bills were being used, the Secret Service thought maybe he was a pilot for an airline. And one of the mall passers' counterfeit bills was passed in an airport parking lot in DC. And a similar bill had been passed exactly a year prior at the same parking lot, which is really interesting. Because they said exactly 1 year. Like I was like, do they mean to the day? Because that's exactly a year.
Right.
Like maybe they were just like, oh, it was about a year.
Well, I wonder, did he like every day of a year take the same, like,
it's questionable.
Weird. Yeah.
Who knows? So agents showed the composite sketch they had to a ground crew at the local airport close to that parking garage lot, whatever. And they recognized him as a pilot. So airline officials gave the Secret Service a picture of that pilot. So now they have an actual picture of this guy who they think is the mall passer. And they start surveilling him. They watch him make small purchases and immediately collect those bills from the stores he was shopping at. Unfortunately, the bills they collected from this guy weren't counterfeits.
Yeah.
So they realized after a little bit more digging up on that guy that they were actually surveilling the wrong guy. Wasn't him. So, yeah.
Sad when your efforts are put into the wrong place.
Mm-hmm. Following de Bartleven's travel pattern, Secret Service agents in Knoxville, Tennessee began taking copies of his composite sketch to mall clerks in chain stores he had targeted along a hypothesized projected itinerary.
Mm-hmm.
They kind of had an idea. De Bartleven was identified as the suspect in these crimes, and a national manhunt ensued. So the Secret Service got ahead of him, thankfully.
Yeah.
And a clerk at a store in a Tennessee mall who only 3 hours earlier had received a sketch of de Bartleven from the Secret Service completed a transaction with the man in the sketch. He passed a counterfeit $20 bill to the clerk, and the clerk called mall security immediately after he left the store. And there were agents and local police all over this mall waiting for this guy to show up.
Yeah.
So mall security alerted the Secret Service agents and the local cops, and they actually chased him down in the mall and arrested him as he was attempting to flee. And
I would like to see that video.
It's amusing because he like tried to tell the cops, the local police that were going to grab him, that the police inside had already cleared him to leave. Right? Like, come on, Dad. Like, they're not going to fall for your bullshit.
I would hope not.
Thankfully, they did not.
Good.
Secret Service agents waited until nighttime to search the parking lot of the mall for de Bartleven's car. Smart move. And they found one car that his car keys fit. And inside that car, they found more wads of counterfeit $20 bills, each with a label stating the city in which they would be used. Like they all had notes on them. He's very weird.
That's strange.
They also found women's underwear and many different license plates, different driver's licenses, all with his photo, but different names, police badges, and a handgun.
Oh.
Yeah.
That does not bode well.
Yeah. The
That's
car was
creepy.
Yeah. So like all my alarms would be going off at that point.
Yeah.
The car was also outfitted with a police siren.
Like one of those that you put on top of the roof that they had back in the 80s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. The
my
blue
grandfather sported that.
It's amazing. So when Secret Service agents began searching for more info on their suspect, they quickly realized he wasn't actually the man he said he was, because that guy didn't actually exist. But they dug deeper into records for the car registration, and it had been registered in a couple of different states. And this led them directly to who de Bartleven truly was.
Mm-hmm.
And when they looked up his name, they saw he had been arrested for counterfeiting previously.
Mm-hmm.
This also led to an address. And so they went and searched this house or this residence. I don't know if it was a house. It was probably, I think it was an apartment. But they didn't find anything at all that had to do with anything counterfeiting.
So it wasn't his counterfeit base. It was
right.
just where he laid his head at night.
Right. So most agents were sent back to the office, but 2 stayed behind and searched the residence a second time. And one of them decided to search this phone book that was in there. And thank goodness he did. Because
by the way, kids, a phone book is what they put out.
Oh my gosh.
What they put out
hysterical.
So that you could look up people's phone numbers. Businesses were in the white pages and residents were in the yellow pages.
This is true.
Just to
true.
Bring it and just in case you didn't know.
My mom sent me the funniest thing. I think it was my mom. Was it my mom? I need to look. Hold, please.
Hold.
Don't you wish we had hold music? That'd be freaking hysterical. Who is it? And That's Why We Drink. They have elevator music.
Yeah.
When they press pause. I gotta
That's
find
funny.
this real quick. It's really funny. If I can.
Do do do
Do,
do
do,
do 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 do.
Man, maybe it wasn't her. It was like kids. Maybe she sent it to me on Instagram. I don't know. It was like kids doing like their history research, or like they were at a historical location, and it was a phone booth.
Phone booth.
Did you send that to me?
I don't know if I sent it to you or
I'm pretty sure my mom did.
I just had seen it. I don't remember. I think maybe she posted something. Did she post? She posted something, I think. Yeah.
She might have.
Yep.
So anyway.
We digress, but yeah. So a phone booth.
All to a good cause. Do you know what a phone booth is, children?
And a phone book are things you used in public.
You didn't have a cell phone. So you had, when we were younger.
Oh, it was so long ago.
I carried pockets full of dimes because it was 20 cents to make a phone call.
Back in the late 1900s.
There's my old man. Too many cigars. Okay. So this guy, the Secret Service agent, is looking through the phone book. And when he got to the moving section, there was a blank piece of paper stuck between 2 pages of moving and storage companies. So the agents quickly came to the conclusion that he was using a storage unit. And they went to the closest one to his apartment and found out that, yes, he did have one there. Not under his actual real name, but whatever. They still
had many aliases.
He had like 40 aliases, apparently. So
he was good at counterfeiting bills. It makes sense. He would counterfeit licenses and stuff.
So inside this storage unit, they found some of the counterfeiting evidence they needed to help keep him locked up, but no printing press. And the printing press was like the thing they needed to prove that he was printing the bills, not just using them. But there was around $50,000 in counterfeit 20s in there. That's a lot, especially back in the 80s. Like, that's a shit ton of money. They also found more police sirens that were outfitted with cigarette lighter plugins. So he could just like plug it right into his car, no problem.
Yep.
More police badges, weapons, balls of tape with hair stuck to them. Ladies' clothing, rope, pictures. This is where it's going to get graphic a little bit. Not too much, but pictures of distressed women, notes on how to kidnap and torture and rape, and taped audio recordings. And these tapes had women's names on them. And yeah, it's nothing good is going to come out of that. And what was on these tapes was audio evidence of him saying what he was going to do to the women in his presence. And you can actually listen to these a little bit. Like, his voice is disturbing. It's so creepy. So yeah. So it was just him like saying what he was going to do to the women that were in his presence in each recording. And then him committing these extremely violent acts against these women, and the women screaming in agony and begging for him to stop. But he actually recorded all.
So audio of him torturing them.
Yep. And one of the strangest
shit person. Ugh.
Like, really shitty person.
No.
Yeah. But one of the strangest things they found in the storage unit were notes de Bartoleben had written to himself about his goals.
Okay. Interesting.
Now, his goals, I mean, it's good to set goals for yourself.
It's a great thing to have like a dream board or write in a journal and have your dreams written down with your goals. But
But
I have a feeling this is a creepy one.
Yeah. So his goals of buying a home with a basement so he could build a dungeon down there.
Yeah.
Yeah. He would also write about how he would act to get the women to trust him and like him. Like if he was going to go to a bar, he would act a certain way. And like he would write this all down. Real weird.
Oh.
I mean.
Yeah. It's creepy behavior.
Very. They also found receipts from his small purchases he had been passing his counterfeits at.
Mm-hmm.
And in those receipts, they found a money order receipt for a moving and storage facility that was different from the original one.
Oh, is this where our printing press finds its way?
We'll get there. So they obtained a warrant for that storage facility. And when they showed up, or when they showed DeBartolaben's photo to the clerk at the storage facility, she said that she knew him as J.R. Jones. James Jones. Very Jim Jones. Like, why would you choose that name? Anyway, this was the motherlode of all evidence they truly needed. The printing press was found, and this thing was massive. Massive.
How would you even put that in? How would you move that?
Yeah. I don't know. He basically told the clerk at that facility that he was an electrician, I think, and that he needed this storage unit to like store his equipment. So there was about $250,000 in counterfeit 20s with the printing press, handguns and knives, little kits with rope, medical tape, and lubricating jelly. What does that freaking set off in your brain?
Rape kit?
Sets off a rape kit in mine. Ugh, I would have vomited right then and there. They found photographs of women in extremely terrifying positions, bound and naked. And they could actually see like ligature marks on men in these photos.
Ugh.
Yeah. Almost 100 pairs of women's underwear and about 20 women's driver's licenses.
Oh boy.
While there was no way to tell if the women in the photos were consenting or not, because you can't really know, some people
but did they track these women down? And
people have kinks. It's real.
I get, I mean,
yeah,
that is, but
I mean, also,
are we finding these women and talking with them, or are they dead?
We'll see. We'll get to that too. They knew deep down inside that this was much bigger than a counterfeiting case. And we have to keep in mind that Secret Service agents don't cover cases like this. They do counterfeiting and they protect the president. That's their job.
Right.
Those are their jobs. That's it. So, but because they had been chasing this one guy and they stumbled upon this stuff, now they have to do that. Because legally,
they're not really trained
legally
to do a homicide or
any of this
investigation to that, to people, or
right. But no other agency could legally get involved at this point. So yeah. So the agents took about 50 of the pictures they had found of women who seemed to be victims, and they cropped them down to just their faces. Thankfully, because
the public doesn't need to see that.
Well, they didn't send them out publicly, thankfully. They put them together in a composite. And I think they did that with the driver's licenses that they had found also. And they sent them to law enforcement agencies all over the country, which back then,
it's a long process. It's not.
You can't just send an email. You can't.
No.
You can't just text it. You have to physically mail stuff or fax things. Did fax machines have? Yeah, fax machines were around then.
Yes.
But most people didn't have them.
No, you didn't have personal fax machines.
Yeah, but I'm sure
you can now. But yeah.
So they started getting phone calls from different agencies. One in particular saw a photo of a living victim. And this woman was a total badass. I'm not going to say their names, even though I'm pretty sure they're public record, but like, I'm still not going to. Because live your lives, ladies. Like, go on and live your life.
You don't need to have further trauma.
You don't need people hunting you down and being like, oh my God. She went to headquarters and listened to the tape with her own name on it. Yikes. And she confirmed it was her in the recording. She relived the entire experience as she listened. She also identified him in a picture lineup. It had to be absolutely fucking terrifying. Like, I can't even imagine. This guy was the sickest fuck, pretty much. So her story was that she had been pulled over by what she thought was a police car 2.5 years earlier. She knew she hadn't done anything wrong, but she still pulled over because, like, what do you do? DeBartoleben took her into his vehicle, and that's when she realized he wasn't a police officer and that it wasn't actually a police car. But it was too late. He held her at gunpoint and raped her in the car. And then he pushed her out of the car, led her back to her own car, and told her not to look back, to which she put her car in drive and went to find a police officer. Smart. So thankfully, she reported that. They also received a call from an FBI agent who had been working a kidnapping case that fit DeBartoleben's MO. And this FBI agent recognized his victim in some of the photos. So now the FBI could officially get involved in the case. Thank fucking God, because they are some beasts when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Their victim was another living victim of DeBartoleben. And she confirmed it was her in certain photos that were found in his storage units. DeBartoleben had pulled up alongside her while she was walking home from work. And he had told her that there was a robbery in the area and he needed to talk to her. And he asked her for her ID and then slipped it into his pocket. And then he arrested her. And she immediately realized this guy wasn't a cop. But like, too late again. She was already handcuffed.
Yeah.
So he put her in the car and covered her with a blanket. They drove for about 3 hours, and he took her to an isolated house and put her in a closet where he chained her to an eye bolt on the floor. And she said that he would take her out about every hour to rape her and photograph her in like very specific positions. And he would tell her what to say and record it all. So he would be like, I want you to tell me that I'm amazing or whatever. So after about 28 hours of hourly rapes and torture, he drove her back and dropped her off. Like, and of course he threatened to show everyone she knew the pictures he had taken of her if she went to the police.
I still would have gone.
Well, she did.
I don't care.
She did. She waited until he left and went to the nearest house to use the phone. She first called her mom to let her mom know she was okay, and then she called the cops. And until this moment, she worried that she would randomly just bump into her attacker. But now he was in, he had been arrested. Yay!
Right.
So
yeah, because a life of looking over your shoulder,
constant.
That is just too much stress on your body and your brain. So luckily she had some finality to this.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, he's super creepy. So Secret Service agents also found out DeBartoleben had been married 5 times. So the agents found all of these women he had married to see if they were involved in the counterfeiting at any point. But what they found out was that he treated his wives pretty terribly, forcing them to do sex acts they didn't want to do, and he would photograph them while doing these sex acts.
Was he an attractive man?
I don't,
because that's a lot of females to like lure in and
right. Well,
and marry, and
this was back in, he was born in the 40s, so this was through his whole
70s,
life,
70s, 80s, and
all you needed was a tight pair of bell bottoms and a nice hair. Just saying. And remember, he would act a certain way to get their attention.
Right. Yeah.
He forced himself to act ways to make them like him.
Well,
Super manipulative.
Maybe he had a sense of humor.
Maybe. I mean, that wins over most girls.
I mean, I prefer a sense of humor.
I prefer a sense of humor overall.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Gotta be entertained.
Sorry. Okay. So DeBar-Laban would use the photos as blackmail, basically, threatening to send them to his wife's parents and everyone she knew if she said anything. So like full control.
Right.
And he would also threaten to kill her. But when they found one of his ex-wives in particular, they like showed up at her work as she was leaving. And she initially believed the Secret Service agents were sent by DeBar-Laban to kill her.
Oh,
I was like, damn.
Wow, she really was manipulated.
And she was living in constant fear.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
Yeah. So one day while they were still married, she had come home and found him in their home while torturing and raping a woman. He showed her the woman and told his wife he wanted to kill this woman. She talked him into letting the woman go, and they never spoke of it again.
Well, good on her for convincing him to let that woman go. But
and all of his wives believed that he just traveled for work, and he would just come home with like wads of cash.
Counterfeit money.
Yeah. So weird. So FBI profilers speculated that in photographs where his face is seen along with the victims, he had murdered the woman and disposed of her body. Whereas in photographs where he is hiding his face, he allowed the victim to live.
Interesting.
Yeah. The photographs where his face wasn't shown were used as evidence against him anyway, because forensics experts were super smart and took pictures of DeBar-Laban in the same positions as the photographs and used his freckle patterns to prove that it was him.
Nice.
Now, I just have to say that is so fucking cool.
That is.
Your freckle patterns put you in prison, you fuck.
Yeah. Crazy.
Yeah. So DeBar-Laban asked to be allowed to represent himself at his trials. He fired his attorney, basically.
And we all know through history, if you represent yourself, you're usually crazy and you're probably going to lose.
And these were all in different jurisdictions. So like, it's a lot of trial. This meant one of his living victims had to be questioned by her own torturer, though. But she did it. She did it. And she stood up to him when he said the voice on the tape could have been anyone's voice, to which she replied, "No, it was you."
Nice.
In front of the jury. So for that one case alone, James DeBar-Laban was sentenced to 180 years.
Wow.
Amazing.
They threw the book at him.
Fuck yeah, they did. Nice. But all in all, James DeBar-Laban was convicted of multiple crimes and sentenced to a total of 375 years in federal prison.
Oh.
And one not so fun fact, but I mean, fun fact.
Interesting fact.
Yeah, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, 4th edition, cites James DeBar-Laban as an example of sexual sadism.
Oh.
Yeah. And James died of pneumonia in early 2011. So he didn't even get to serve a whole shit ton of time, but at least he was put away. He didn't get to hurt anybody else.
Right.
So that's it for that. But I have Alcatron.com.
Mm-hmm.
I used them. They had a lot of information on him. Murderpedia, Google, Discovery Plus show called Hear No Evil has an episode on him. And then there's actually like a movie on Amazon right now called The FBI Files, Cruel Deception. It's really bad.
Oh.
It has good information.
Don't watch it then.
No, it has good information, but like the recording itself, it's cheesy.
Like a Lifetime movie.
Oh, it's cheese. Yeah. But like really good information. So maybe do watch it and just deal with it.
Maybe just know it's, campy.
But it's not included in your Amazon Prime if you have Amazon Prime. I had to rent it.
Oh.
Just
look
to cover
at you
this.
putting down the bucks.
For
this thing.
Yeah. I think in the last 2 days I've also ordered like $100 and something in coffee. I can't help it. But
I know. That's what I was saying. Like, I'll have to check and see if I can.
You're like,
yeah.
But yeah.
I got Pete's coffee on the way. I'm excited about it.
I was so excited. My sister, hi Amy, if you're listening. I don't know if she actually listens or not, but I hope she does.
We hope you do, Amy. We hope.
I don't know. I don't know if she's into true crime. I don't think she is, but like.
But she's into us.
She's into us. And she sent me a gift card to Pete's.
Oh, nice.
She's supporting the coffee.
The coffee addiction.
I'm getting the quote. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
We need members.
Yeah.
So that we can afford our podcast coffee addiction.
Our coffee problems. Yeah. So I have Post-it notes with our information.
Nice.
Because I'm such a nerd. So I'll just do it. It's fine. You don't have to worry about it.
Oh, well.
If you want to. Unless you want to.
I mean, you have it nicely written down. I usually just yell at the microphone.
You're like, please just love us.
Our biggest thing is listen, rate, and review on Apple.
Yes, we really
only have 7 ratings right now.
That's still pretty good because people don't write good reviews. They only write bad reviews. So like,
we don't want bad reviews.
They don't feel inclined to write good reviews. I always do that for people because I'm like, this small business is fucking amazing. I'm gonna show people like you need to shop here.
Right.
I mean, I appreciate it when people do that for me, which you do all the time because you rock.
Yeah. I support my bestie.
Yeah.
In everything she does, and she supports me.
Word.
To your mother.
The mother bird. Hi, mother bird. So you can find us on Instagram at Crime, Coffee, and Crafts Pod. We're also on Twitter now.
I know. You told me we were doing that, and I was like, oh boy.
The Instagram handle is too long for the Twitter. So I had to do CCAC Pod. So you can find us on Twitter at CCAT Pod. You can check out our merch at crimecoffeeandcrafts.bigcartel.com or just on our website, crimecoffeeandcrafts.com. And if you love our podcast, please rate and review us on Apple Podcast. This actually helps us more than you would ever realize because that helps us get seen.
It's all about algorithms.
Exactly. Yeah.
Getting more listeners through that is important.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Importante.
And yes, please send us your stories because we want them at crimecoffeeandcrafts@gmail.com.
Give us feedback. Write to us and tell us what you like. And
don't tell us what you don't like.
Don't tell us what you don't like.
5-star ratings only.
Because we're pretty much just going to continue to do what we do.
Exactly. We are who we are. Deal with it. But that's it. All right.
Yeah.
Ready? Ta-ta!
For now.